Look how far we've come, all the things we've done. Did it all with love, beauty from the bottom up. All I want is you, you're my favorite view. But there's nothing more, girl, you made my heart beat.
And we are back.
Welcome back, you beautiful creatures.
Season 3, episode 25 of the To Be Better podcast. For those of you who are new here, I'm Chris.
I'm Peaches.
And we are recording live in front of our Patreon audience who reminded us or informed us that the last time we tried to intro, there was no audio.
Yeah.
And as we were talking while there was no audio, we were explaining to you guys that little man had some night terrors last night and we did not sleep very well. So we are both pretty tired. We're here anyways because work is work. And we're hoping that we are not going to be overly ugly.
Crabby.
Right. We're going to try to not be shitty to people. I did swap the cameras, as the chat is saying. For those of you who are watching on the split screen, we flipped because when she looks at her screen and I look at my screen, it gives you the illusion of us looking at each other instead of this. Right?
Looking off in the space.
So we fixed it. Normally we have banter back and forth. We have things to talk about. We talked a little bit this morning on the walk of the dogs that I have things that I would like to get into. And on days where, like today, we don't have a whole lot to get into, we can use those for some filler. Do you have anything you want to talk about before I grab my phone?
No, not particularly. I'm exhausted.
So am I. Yeah. I am now over a month with 0 caffeine. Mm-hmm. And I opened a soda and took a single sip trying to get some caffeine in me, and it tasted horrible. Absolutely disgusting. So I'm back to my lemonade.
Yep.
Caffeine pills are a thing, and I didn't think to grab one before I left. Been up super early this morning. I woke up. I've got a whole lot done. It's 11 o'clock. Oh, today is April 7th, by the way. By the time you guys hear this, it'll be probably the end of June. Got up super early. Did the dog thing. I wrote an entire chapter of my new book. I went and met the AC guy at the studio. We dropped my van off. You took the kids to school. We walked the dogs. I played some Magic. Dealt with some Discord stuff, looked at some financial stuff, went to the bank, and made it here by 11. So even though I'm tired, today has been super, super productive, which is great because I like the productive aspect of things. Lemon just sent a membership thing on here, and it says early access message. Hi, thank you for everything you guys do. That's awesome that you stopped caffeine. We had to, because the ayahuasca retreat that we went to said that we had to remove caffeine from our diets. And after I did the diet and removed the caffeine, when we came home that Sunday, I was so excited to hit a gas station and get an energy drink. Mm-hmm. Took 2 or 3 sips out of it. Yeah. And it sat there. I poured it out. It was the last energy drink I've tasted was the day after the retreat, and it did not taste enjoyable. Mm-hmm. It tasted like poison. So, all right, guys, as you know, there was a TikTok scare. We lost the app for a whole 12 hours, and we have no idea what the future of the app looks like. And with that, we are very concerned about the loss of our following. We have amassed almost 3 million followers across that platform with all 4 of our accounts. And we are trying to push people to other social media platforms so that in the event that anything happens on one app, we have multiple other backup plans. If you want to make sure that you're not missing any content, we highly recommend that you check out our Patreon.
On Patreon, we have multiple tiers to choose from. Starting at $10, you begin to receive exclusive content. At $15 a month, you get access to our private Discord server where we've amassed an absolutely amazing community of supportive people. And beyond that, we have other tiers to check out, along with my 2 private women's group, if that's something you may be interested in.
Guys, on our $15 and higher tier, you have access to live recordings. We record all of our content 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week, live in front of our Patreon audience, where they are able to chat with us while we're recording. They get to see all the flirting, the outtakes, the hot topic conversations that never actually make it on the podcast. And it's really worth that aspect in itself. We have an After Dark where we sit down usually once a week and have a glass of bourbon, or in Peach's case, a glass of wine and a bowl of cheese. And we have a whole lot of fun conversations, karaoke in the Discord. We finish the lyrics. We literally just hang out, and you guys get to hang out with us. There is a host of other perks, including Zoom calls that are coming for the ultimate tier, so that if you guys are having problems, you can talk to us. It also gives you the heads up on private meet and greets, because when we travel, we try to meet up with people on our Discord on a regular basis. There's a whole slew of other perks that come through Patreon. I highly recommend that you check it out.
The best way to support what we are doing is to share the content. The second best way is to check out our Patreon. Thank you guys for being here.
I do have a couple of things that I want to get into. I would like to say that as of right now, for those of you who are listening, I do have more signed copies of my book on the website. For those of you who are interested in couples retreats, that is on the website as well, tobebetter.com. We have one for June. Actually, it might be happening by the time this releases. And then
June and August.
And then one in August. By the time you guys get this, both of those will likely be sold out for the actual stay with us. But we did open up 10 couple spots for the Saturday seminars. So if you live in Florida or in North Carolina and would like to tune in, is what I was going to say. That's not right, to attend the seminar aspect. It's a Saturday only from 12 to 8. You can find that on the website as well under couple retreats on the tobebetter.com website. All right, let me pull up my notepad so that I have my little cheat sheet of things. Do you put things in your notepad like I do?
No, I'm more likely to journal it.
Yeah. Well, you carry your journal with you everywhere you go. I put my important stuff in my journal. Things that I need to remember, I'll write down, but I use my notepad and my phone a lot.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how much until I scrolled the other day and found notes in here from like 2016. I was like, holy shit. I want to talk about the phrase, this too shall pass.
Okay.
And my note says, this too shall pass, ... What the fuck? And I was hoping that it would trigger a thought, and it kind of did, because I remember when I wrote it, what I was feeling. I was listening to something, and somebody was talking about how they have their social circle. Whenever something's wrong and you go to talk to somebody, they don't know how to console you or comfort you when you're going through what you're going through. And people will say things like, oh man, you'll get through it. This too shall pass, all of that kind of shit. And when you're depressed, or you're going through a major tragic life event, or your grandmother died, or your dog got put down, or whatever the case may be, somebody saying that shit to you in the moment's not going to make you feel any better. It might be a reminder that something new is coming, or that, you've been through hardships in the past, but there's no amount of consoling that's going to happen in that moment that's going to make you feel better about what you're going through. I would rather have somebody sit with me in silence and just be there in case I want to talk, to let me just get it out, than to fucking give me cliche little pick me up motivational quotes to feel better.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that? I was hoping this would create a dialogue, but we're both kind of tired and I don't think it's gonna.
I agree with that. When it depends on what I'm going through. So if I go to someone and I specifically say, hey, tell me that I'm going to be okay, then I want to hear those things.
Yeah. You want to hear that this too shall pass, or you want to hear that you're going to be okay? What would you rather have? Like
all of it.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get through this. You're strong. You're beautiful.
Right. But
you're the best show dog in the show.
Yeah. But even that is better than this too shall pass, because it feels like a proverbial pat on the back.
This too shall pass.
Doesn't it?
Maybe it's the old English of it. It sounds like hoity-toity when it's being said to you and you're emotional.
It feels condescending. When I heard that shit in the conversation, I was like, I was laying in bed. It had to have been midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I can't remember what I was watching. But I heard that and I was like, man, fuck people who say that. And I rolled over. I actually had you get off of me, and I rolled over and grabbed my phone to make a note. And I was like, all right, come back after I made the note. But I laid there and thought about that for a minute. I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, big yawn.
She's sleepy.
Yeah. I think that people who do that are not giving you their undivided attention in times of your conflict. Or whatever your dissatisfaction is in life. Okay.
So do you like, how do I want to phrase this? The gist of it is there a problem with you couldn't even like come up with your own words to say to me?
Some of it is that, yeah. Because it sounds like a Facebook sticker.
Yeah.
It looks like something that's hung above a toilet or scratched into like a woman's bathroom wall. Like,
where's my personalized loving advice from my person?
Right. Or from anyone for that matter.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. It really feels very impersonal. And I think that that's not going to make you feel better. Let me see what else I wrote on that. I wrote, it's an optimistic thing that people say that you'll be okay. Well, that's great. But what do I do with this right now? Because if somebody tells you this too shall pass, and obviously it will, because we've all been through hardships and we've all gotten to where we are currently. But in the moment, that's not doing anything.
No.
So what am I supposed to do with my feelings? Should I not talk to you? Should I bottle them up? Are you passively Is this a passive aggressive attempt or a non-passive aggressive attempt to just get me to shut the fuck up so that you don't have to deal with the fact that somebody that you care about is going through something? Does it make you feel a certain way? Are you mildly spicy brain like we are and you don't know how to handle the shit right now? Like, as a friend coming to a friend, I need more than this in the moment. And I think that we need to be able to open up the dialogue when somebody says shit like that to be like, hey, that didn't help, and them not get mad or like butt hurt because that's all they got. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If all you've got are like wall hanging cliches, the little phrasing you buy at Hobby Lobby at the checkout.
Yeah. Unrecycled wood from a pallet.
If all you have to offer is that, I would maybe do some inner retrospection, do some self-evaluation.
Some soul searching.
Yeah. Because if you can't come up with original thoughts on what it's been like to be a human being.
You are the shallow end of the gene pool. That's funny. Want to just jump into some emails?
Yeah, we can do that.
Do you want to stand up and jump up and down a couple times and try to wake ourselves up?
No, not on camera. I'm not feeling confident in what I wore to work today. That's why I have my blanket on.
I thought you looked good this morning.
Thank you.
All right. This email is called Dysfunction, Resentment, Lack of Communication equals Disaster. I can't see the word dysfunction and not hear Tech 9. I'm a little dysfunctional.
Don't you know? Jumping into it, my entire relationship with my now wife, 15 years, has been nothing but dysfunction. What a first sentence. Our lack of communication and lack of knowing how to put each other's needs first has made our home, our children, and our marriage pay the price. After being together for 15 years and married for 7, I have asked for a separation and am now leaning towards divorce. I worked endless hours trying to make ends meet, sometimes 2 full-time jobs to keep things afloat.
Hang on.
I never felt any type of gratitude or thanks from her. She was only happy for a very short period of time when she got her way. If I gave any resistance, she would turn absolutely vicious with her words. Oftentimes, I would do the same thing back because I didn't have the maturity or coping skills to understand where this was all coming from. I would go into defense mode, and we would play this tug of war on who could hurt the other one the most with their words.
It's ugly.
It was very ugly. Oftentimes, in front of our children, this would go on for years.
I wonder, did they say how old they were? Nope.
Mm-mm.
It's rough. I want to talk about that a little bit. We've talked a lot over the last 3 years about how important it is to pick the right person to marry. And because I'm writing a second book, marriage has been it'll be a very prevalent topic in this book. Mm-hmm. I've been thinking a lot about compatibility and about how many people get into a relationship and do what is expected of the relationship. You fall in lust, you move in, you realize you don't really like each other, but now you're 2 years living together and you've commingled your life. You're 21, 22 years old, and you feel like the next step is that you're supposed to get married because that's what we're taught. So now you're 25, 26 years old, you get a wedding ring or an engagement ring, and then you postpone the wedding until you finally, either decide that you want to do the thing or not do the thing, or you get pressured into doing the thing, and you're getting married for all the wrong fucking reasons. And so many people get caught into that expectation of what your life is supposed to be, that like the new culture of not getting married has a beautiful ringtone to it to me, because the people who do get married are going to get married and do it for the right reasons. Mm-hmm. They're going to do it because they actually found a compatible match that they love and want to spend their life with and are willing to change and grow for, and vice versa. Whereas the people who are not ready for that shit aren't going to placate with fake rings and go through with a ceremony because it's expected of them. I think that that's the upside of the shift that we're currently seeing with the younger generation and not getting married.
Continuing.
Yeah.
When we would actually agree to start putting each other first and try to do nice things for one another, either myself or her would be late to the party, and resentment would rise, and then the trying stopped. Oftentimes, we wouldn't even sit in the same room to watch TV. No cuddling, no affection. She would withhold sex when she was mad at me, and it would make my self-esteem plummet. Even when I was trying my best to put her needs first and show affection, she would find something wrong and think of an excuse.
So before we move past that, I read an article last night where physical skin to skin contact with your partner releases dopamine and reduces cortisol in your body. And last night, so I it's no secret that my back is messed up. I have 2 herniated discs, L4 and L5. My sciatic nerve has been pinched, and I can't not do man shit. So I'll be okay for a little while and think I'm getting better, and then do something like swing Bane's 100-pound ass around in the fucking air and then hurt myself. And last night I laid on the couch and I was like, I'm fucking hurting. I think I might fucking hurt my back, like worse than it was. But I can't lay with you. I have to lay this way on the couch, and you can either lay on me with your head, which is probably not going to be the best view of the TV because of the way I have to position my legs, or you can lay with your head on the other end with your feet near me, and I can either hold your leg or whatever. Mm-hmm. And there was a little bit last night where you were laying down and your foot was next to me, and I rotated my body and I put the top of the bottom of my foot on the top of your foot, and then put my other foot on your foot like a sandwich, and I held it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that article, and I found myself subconsciously caressing the bottom inside sole of your foot with my toe. And I realized I was doing it while thinking about that article. And I realized in the moment that I was self-soothing because I've had such a really bad, few days.
Yeah.
With the release that was happening from our skin to skin contact. So it's just a fun fact for you guys who are in sexless marriages. Not having that skin to skin contact does do a disservice to your relationship. Mm-hmm. So useless information that you guys don't need, but
I love that we both make it a point to still touch each other.
Yeah. It sucks that it's not the way that it was, but we still make it work.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't want to ever get into a habit of not doing the things. There's been times where I've walked out the door and come back in because I am on autopilot and I didn't kiss you, or I'll leave and you'll be like, you didn't say I love you. And I'm like, oh fuck, I'm on autopilot right now. I've got a lot going on up here. Today I drove the wrong vehicle to work, and I didn't even realize I was in the wrong vehicle until I was 3 miles from the house. I was like, oh shit, I texted you. But that's stress, right? I have a lot on my plate right now. I'm just trying to do the best that I fucking can. And that's that. I don't want those, well, I'm just stressed out right now, to be an excuse for me to start slacking in those things, because when it happens on a consistent basis, the habitual behavior patterns are going to set in, and I don't want that. I want everything to be intentional, and it's obvious that those things are not a habit because I'm not doing it habitually. Mm-hmm. So the touching and the kissing and all of that is very intentful still. I am thinking about it. I need to do these things. Like yesterday when you were cooking and I came up and loved on you a little bit, I wanted to be close to you. I could have just walked past you in the kitchen and you were cooking. You had peppers on your hands. You were cutting jalapenos. The last thing I should be doing is fucking with you while you're cutting jalapenos. And you stopping, but I don't know.
Yeah. We have 3 children, 19 female, 8 male, and 14 male. The oldest is my stepdaughter, but I raised her since a baby. The other 2 older ones were audience for horrible name calling between me and her. We were horrible examples of how to show our children how to have a relationship.
Okay.
She would always make me be the disciplinarian, and when I set a punishment, she would go back on it and let the kids slide. Oftentimes because it was easier to do that than to have to hear them complain to her.
That creates so many problems with personality as you grow up.
Yes.
That's going to be the kid who gets arrested or gets in major trouble and goes to mom and is like, Mom, you've gotten me out of this my entire life. Get me out of this. And mom's like, I can't. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. When punishments are set, they need to be adhered to. You have to back each other's play, so to speak.
100%. Hearing oftentimes because it was easier to do that than to have to hear them complain to her. What I hear is you would rather do the selfish thing and make yourself not emotionally uncomfortable. So you're going to reward bad behavior because you can't handle that aspect of it.
Yeah, exactly what that is.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Continuing, I worked nights and she was working from home, so she had to deal with them a lot of the time alone. And I know that was tough.
Oh, hold on. I want to go back to the disciplinary thing because of what he just said. If he's working nights and she's working from home and he's sleeping during the day and he barely spends times with the kids, if she's getting overly worked up and making the kids out to be a nightmare and he's having to step in and discipline after the fact, the kids aren't being disciplined in the moment. They've already forgotten what's happened. They don't remember the scenario. They don't know why they're getting in trouble. You're punishing for past behaviors. It's not okay.
Right.
You're not going to correct that unless you catch them in the moment and can correct the behavior while it's happening. The other thing in that is making one parent the disciplinarian, and having it go that route. You're making someone the enemy to the children at all times, because now they're afraid. They know that that person is equated to negative stimulation, and they're going to create a negativity bias towards that person. You guys have to be very, very careful with that.
Continuing, another issue was my schedule. I worked those hours because of the pay being more, and she would complain that I was never there. But when my shift changed or weekends were there and I was home, we would just argue. I started working even more hours because I didn't feel appreciated at home. This cycle would go on and on for years.
Which just furthers the divide. We did an episode or two ago where somebody was only home 4 days a month.
Mm-hmm.
When you have that much time alone, you have to make time for your person, and it can't be in conflict, because this is what happens.
Right.
Oh man, I could go home, or I can stay an extra couple hours, pick up some overtime, make a little bit of extra money that's going to get taken away in taxes. Or I can go home and listen to her bitch and complain, and we can fight, or she can ignore me while doom scrolling. And like, I'll have to discipline the kids and be the bad guy. But if I wait until, just a couple more hours, everybody's gonna be asleep, or everybody will be gone to school because he works nights, and then I can sleep. That's a very unhappy household.
Yes. About 3 years ago, I saw messages on her phone talking to a guy friend of her family, asking him to pay for her hair to be done. I was devastated, hurt, angry, and felt betrayed. Even he asked her in the text, wouldn't I be pissed if I found out he paid for it? And her reply was, I won't tell him till after I get it done, LOL.
There's so much in that whole paragraph that I have issues with.
Yeah.
He's working a full-time job at night. She's working from home. So they both have jobs. There's no reason for somebody else to be paying for the hair.
Right.
If they're putting all their finances together and that happens, that is an intentional, malicious act, because they likely have the money to get her hair done.
Right.
And this, in my opinion, is a reason to start a fight, especially now that this conversation's been had.
Right. I also view this as fishing for attention from a man.
Yeah.
And one of the things that stand out to me is she's asking for this man to provide for her financially so she can get something done to look pretty. And there could be an added level of, I could pay for it and her husband couldn't.
Yeah. There are men out there who absolutely will flex like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Continuing.
I would have liked to have known. Oh, never mind. Yeah, continuing, because they're about to get into how that would have played out. Because that would have been a very big. That would have probably been an actual fight for us.
100%.
Yeah.
On either side, me asking another man to pay for my hair, or you paying for another woman's hair. Yeah, that is. We work hard for our resources.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There are certain things that you don't do.
Right.
And when it comes to your appearance, you are supposed to be the arm candy and the twinkle in your man's eye, right? Or vice versa. You should be trying to do it up for your person.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing it up for other people and you're using other people's money to do it, you know what I mean? Like, at that point, I actually view that as a form of infidelity.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And I use the term infidelity and not cheating because I think that people will hold those two terms differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's smart. She was convinced she had done nothing wrong, and I told her I was killing myself at work, and why couldn't she ask me to pay for it? I always found a way to get her what she wanted. She would not admit it was wrong. But every man I mentioned it to said that it was way out of line.
Okay, so before you move any further, we both agree that it's way out of line. Do you think that she doesn't see it the way that he does because some women see shit differently than men? Or do you think that she's manipulating the situation because she got what she wanted?
I think she's manipulating the situation.
I do too.
I think it's very rare for women to not understand what they're doing wrong in a situation. Will they get defensive about it, or maybe feel like they're being attacked if they get caught on it because it's maybe a emotional response, like her trying to get attention from another man? Yeah, maybe. But that doesn't mean that what they're doing is like they're unaware of it, as I said.
Well, the other guy also told her, like, don't you think your man's going to get mad about this?
Yeah.
So she knew what she was doing was wrong. She just didn't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, where did I was holding my tongue because I didn't want to interrupt you, and that's twice today that I've lost my train of thought like this. It's gone. If it comes back, I'll interrupt, but it's gone.
Okay. Continuing, I confronted the man via phone and told him not to come around, and he never did again. I don't believe she slept with him, but eventually I feel like it would have gone there.
I agree.
I agree with that. Eventually, I forgave her for that incident, but I have never forgotten how it made me feel. I was never the same again towards her.
Which is fair. And on a personal level, I have been in that situation. It wasn't this, but something happened where it changed my entire view of another human being, and it changed the way that I was willing to behave with them. Mm-hmm. And it ended up changing the entire course of a relationship because of it. I don't believe she slept with him, but eventually I feel like it would have gone there. If she was manipulating both of you and using him to get what she wanted, it may not have went to physical sex, but I guarantee you there would have been hand touching, there would have been kissing, there would have been holding, there would have been hugging, there would have been fake intimacy there to get him to continue doing what she was wanting him to do because she'd already seen that he was willing to do that. And let's be very fucking clear, unless you're going to like Fantastic Sam's, getting a woman's hair done can be expensive.
Oh, yeah.
We spent $500 on a fucking keratin treatment, right? Like, it's not cheap to get a haircut. When you do the thing for a woman, it's a lot different for a man. It's $25 to go get a quick little clip. You know what I mean? But so once a man starts to show that he can provide and is willing to do that thing, it's like a loose string that a woman can pull on. Mm-hmm. And I've watched a lot of women manipulate men because they have the resources that they want and a little bit of batted eyelashes and some fucking flirting and making him feel good.
Right.
Especially if it's a married man who's in a fucking horrible relationship. Could you imagine what it would have been if it was the other way around with the way that he's feeling about his woman? If a woman would have started giving him attention, how that would have skewed the relationship?
Yeah.
Because he's already feeling a certain way now that this has happened.
Right. Continuing, our story would eventually lead to a monotonous,
Yep.
oh gosh, what a hard word, sexless, emotionless existence. I was in a really low point, feeling worthless after telling my wife I wasn't happy 2 previous times in 6 months. Her reply was, if you don't like it, file for divorce.
That's it.
Wow.
That's it. That would have been the answer. Okay. That's what you want.
Yeah, that
So that's the manipulation statement of like, I'm going to call your bluff. You're not going anywhere. You love me too much. And if you do, and you choose to leave because I'm obviously unhappy too, you're the bad guy.
Right.
And I'm going to be able to make it look that way in all of our social circles and the court system. You decided you didn't want to be in here anymore. And now I get to be the victim while I get to do all the things that I want to do. When somebody tells you, if you don't like it, you should leave, leave. Mm-hmm. That statement is louder than any I love you will ever be because there's truth there. I don't care enough about you to change my behavior to make this work.
Yep.
We're either not compatible, you are a placeholder that lasts a little bit too long, I'm bored with our relationship, I don't love you anymore, but I still have love for you because it's different, and I don't want to do this, but I don't want to leave because I don't want to fuck my life up, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's rough.
Continuing, honestly, looking back, I should have just filed after hearing that twice. But I felt so stuck, maybe because our family and the comfort of being uncomfortable. I don't know. And I started talking to someone at work, and eventually I stepped out of the marriage with this woman. You called it.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And I'm willing to bet that started with a simple conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
He was given the time of day.
Yeah. And I'm sure that in the beginning of that, it was not, I do believe that a lot of the things that happen with infidelity in a workplace do not start off with malicious intent or the goal of cheating or sex or anything like that. It starts with attention.
Yeah.
You have a fucked up home life and you're at work to avoid the home life. And now somebody new comes on and gives you a positive interaction. And you find yourself thinking about the next time that you can talk to that person. Mm-hmm. The next time you talk to that person, you're going to tell them all about this new story. You're going to tell them about that one time at band camp. You know what I mean? Like you're going to divulge information because it feels good to have somebody to connect to because you're disconnected as fuck at home. And that's how that happens. Then a fight happens. You go to work and you tell that person that makes you feel good about the bullshit that happened. Well, now they have a feel good attachment to you as well. And that's how that starts. And it's how it starts a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Very next fucking paragraph is exactly what I just said.
Yep. She made me feel like I meant something. And honestly, she made me feel desired and important. Maybe I fell for the bait. I don't know.
Or maybe that's actually what happened.
Right.
You said that you were fucking miserable at home and avoiding going there because of like to stay at work. You didn't want to be in that situation. You didn't want to argue and have those fights.
Yep. My wife found out and all hell broke loose. She made the kids throw my clothes outside. Oh my God.
That's so fucked up.
It's really fucked up. She made the kids throw my clothes outside in the front yard as a family, more trauma to the kids. I left the house for about a month.
You should have left for good.
My goodness, what a bitch. And I say that full chest. Children do not need to be involved in adult problems. One of the ways to make your children feel absolutely out of control in their life is put them into adult situations like this. There's nothing that they can do about this. And you're making them participate in a nasty act towards their own father.
Right. Well, she's already poisoned the well in that. She's been doing it the entire time by going against the punishments, making him the disciplinary, and then being the savior after the discipline has happened.
Mm-hmm.
So the kids probably already have an unnatural disdain that has been like watered by the mom. And now with all of that happening, there's going to be memories of that. And as the kids grow up and heal, hopefully they do, they're going to look back and be like, why would you do that to me? I was 8 years old. Why would you tell me that my dad was a piece of shit? And why would you make me throw his clothes in the yard? Kids don't understand the level of what's going on in that. Like, they don't even need to be privy to what's happening in your relationship on that level. Yeah, that is like, I have moments in my childhood where my mom manipulated me to do really fucked up things to people. So that really strikes a nerve to me. Like, that's raw fuck, man.
Disgusting behavior.
44 years old and I still think about that shit regularly, like at least once a week, which means I'm not healed yet. Yeah. I'm still working through some shit.
Yeah. Shortly after that, I said to her we needed to separate, but she wanted to work things out. I was so checked out at that point, but I reluctantly said yes and came back. Realizing that she would throw this in my face every time we disagreed in the future, and that after I did what I did, she only then wanted to try and work on things. I thought about it, and I couldn't go back. I was so emasculated and beaten down that I refused to be put into that position ever again by her. And frankly, I was tired of showing my children how to have a bad relationship. My youngest son hasn't been witness to much of the mayhem, but he remembers some. I don't want him growing up thinking this is the way to have a relationship. The other two have definitely been affected by us. I made many of the same mistakes she did, and I am no better or worse. I have tremendous feelings of guilt from time to time, but I don't know if I miss her or miss what could have been. Okay, I want to pause right there.
That's a good place to pause.
You don't miss what could have been because for the last 15 years, it is what it was.
Right. It was definitely not what it could have been.
Right. When I hear I miss what it could have been, right? Like my husband passing tragically and suddenly, I'm going to miss what our life could have been based on what our, not just our past behavior, but our most recent past behavior looked like. That is the best judgment of what the future behavior, future circumstances will be is relevant past recent behavior. I think that maybe you miss the fantasy that you held on to of what the relationship could have been, and you don't actually miss her as a person.
I think that it comes down to not wanting to be alone.
Yeah.
You spend 15 years in a house with 3 kids and a woman, that's your life.
Mm-hmm.
I know personally with my divorce, when I moved into that big ass house that I moved, well, it wasn't big. It was big for me because it was just me and fucking the cat in the house. I rented a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom because it was the fastest first thing I could get into.
Mm-hmm.
But I had my own computer room in there, my bedroom in the living room. I didn't even use any of that shit. Like, I used my bedroom because I tried not to go home because it was fucking lonely as shit being there. Psychologically, it does a lot to move from a house with 5 people in it to being alone on your own. If it wasn't for the cat, I would have been fucking stir crazy. I talk to my cat all the time. Like, I became the crazy cat guy. You do what you have to fucking do. And I think that that's what a lot of that comes down to.
Yeah. Continuing, this has been the worst year of my life by far. I'm so back and forth in my head about whether or not to leave. She continues to blame me for all of it based on my cheating as the main event that ruined the marriage.
So the question is do you believe that? Because you got very hung up on the fact that she did some foul shit. You never got over it. You said that yourself. There's a whole lot of resentment that's been happening here the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like there's been a lot of like, we're just together to be together in this. And the reason that you're going through what you're going through now and the reason that you're struggling and this has been the worst year of your life, it's because you're still half in the game and half out of the game.
Yeah.
This situation needed to be a clean break. Lawyers needed to be involved. Divorce needed to be filed. And you guys needed to fuck off. Get away from each other and start your healing journey. That first year after a split is crucial to like remembering who the fuck you are and like finding your new hobbies. Because 15 years with somebody, all your hobbies are so co-mingled that like you rarely get to do the things that really truly make you happy because your partner probably doesn't want to do them. And that's not all relationships, but I have experienced that. Mm-hmm. When we started doing like little photography excursions before we were actually courting, I realized at the time that like I was doing something that I used to really truly love, and like it got poisoned and it wasn't as good as it used to be, but I was still getting quality time with somebody, and that filled up some of that silence that I would have experienced sitting in a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. But I got to learn that like photography, which was something that I fucking used to adore, it was a huge part of my life, was no longer that prevalent. Mm-hmm. And like I had to find new things, and I got into podcasts and self-help books and like video editing and started doing other hobbies to like, I learned I can throw axes really well.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's just, so that part of finding who you are and starting to learn to like yourself again and doing the things that fill your cup and makes you happy is important. So the worst year of your life by far is because you're half in, half out. You're not doing any of that. You are literally just being dangled along. And every time there's a minor inconvenience, you're the fucking bad guy. If you're the villain in this woman's life, leave.
Yeah.
It's never too late to reinvent yourself. And if you are the villain, if you are a piece of shit human being, leaving gives you the opportunity to start working on you without having to deal with all of that shit. And she can start healing herself as well.
Mm-hmm. But is it? What about the 14 years prior to the garbage we went through? Am I just making an excuse? I feel awful for doing it. If the roles were reversed, I'd be devastated.
I believe that. I believe that, but you did it. Can't take it back.
Right. Part of me wants to try again, but I look back at all of the pain we have inflicted on each other. It's hard to get past that. Am I just comfortable living in sadness as well? If this email gets read on your podcast, I hope it can bring some change to a couple that hears it. Without communication, romance, continued courtship, understanding, compromise, and patience, a relationship will be difficult at best.
Yeah. He said that, what about the last 14 years prior to the garbage? You didn't say the last 14 years. You said 3 years ago she did that shit with the hair thing. Mm-hmm. You said that you guys have been ugly towards each other. So now you're now changing the narrative of the conversation in your mind to justify that this has only been the last year instead of the entire relationship.
Right.
That's hopium.
Yeah. Wasn't the very first sentence that their 15-year relationship has always been a mess? My entire relationship with my now wife, 15 years, has been nothing but dysfunction.
Yeah. So this is what we do to ourselves. Mm-hmm. We lay awake at night going, "Oh man, I should go back. Oh man, what if this was a mistake?
Yeah.
What if our best years were to come? What if? Instead of going, there is nothing here that indicates that that's what's going to happen. We've aired all of our dirty laundry. We've had numerous conversations. Nothing gets changed. We are in perpetual conflict all the fucking time. I'm always the bad guy. She won't listen. Whatever. Because it's hope. Mm-hmm. You are loving the idea of what could be instead of facing the reality of currently what is.
Yep.
Yeah, that's problematic as fuck. What would you do in that situation?
I would continue with the divorce. I would find hobbies. I would make it a point to try and see the children, right? Have a documented texting trail of, hey, can I see the kids? When can I see the kids? And if she denies that, that's something that you can use in court. I would take this time to find me outside of that 15-year mess of a relationship.
I agree with that. I would move out.
Yeah.
And I would just leave everything. I would start clean. I got to be honest. I wouldn't want the energy. I don't want the furniture. I don't want the fucking TVs. I don't want the bed.
Yep.
I'll take the clothes that I know I'm going to enjoy wearing for the next 3 or 4 months because I'm going to buy a new wardrobe. I'm going to completely reinvent who I am as a person during the process of learning to love myself. And is it going to suck? Absolutely. Finding a new place, being alone at night, not having anything to do. I'm probably going to fucking kill a whole lot of time doom scrolling, which may make me depressed. But I'm going to start doing the things. And I'm going to start completely fresh. I'd rather just fucking burn it all and start over. But I want that clean break. That half in, half out shit, it can't happen.
Oh, it's a destroyer.
Yeah. Yep, let's do one more. We're at 48 minutes. 4-hour response.
My fiance has a 5-year-old daughter. I would like to make clear that my relationship with her is amazing. I love her and consider her as my own, and she has bonded with me a lot in the last 2 years and has even called me mommy, which we had to correct because it made her mom mad. However, she is not my fiance's biological daughter.
Wow, okay, so you really have no ties to this kid.
Yeah. Okay.
That is such, oh my word. Like, that is such a fucking statement to make.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
No, me either. I was getting ready to have a whole ass conversation about how if you're acting more like mom and she's calling you mom, like there's a reason for that. But to find out he's not even dad, like, okay, I'm in it.
Yep.
Buckle in.
My fiance has a past, and he was in prison when his ex had an affair and got pregnant. He made the choice to follow through after his release and gave this little girl his last name and signed her birth certificate and took the role of her father. He then married his ex soon after, which only lasted about a year. Once he filed for divorce and left her, the child's mother filed for child support on him even though he was still active in his daughter's life. Their divorce was finalized in 2021, and he and I started a serious relationship in 2023. The first 2 months after he made things official and asked for his daughter to be introduced to me was a nightmare dealing with her. She constantly talked bad about me. She would say raunchy, thirst trap-like things to him, trying to get his attention. She would tell him how broken she is because he moved on and doesn't want to be with her, and would tell him that their daughter will never be allowed around another female if he chooses not to be with her. Disgusting behavior.
It's fucking insane, isn't it?
Absolutely disgusting behavior.
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah,
men.
I can understand why some men think that women are just crazy.
Well, you got to think too, when women, younger women, I'm not saying all women, but a lot of younger women believe that when they have a baby with somebody, that's it, that's their motherfucker for the rest of their life. Mm-hmm. Because that's what we're told. You're supposed to grow up and have a family and get married and do the life thing. Young women are naive. Young men are horny. Like the oops or the accidents that happen and the idea of the family without any real life experience. Mm-hmm. From 18 to 25, you're a child still.
Oh, yeah.
You are just learning the way of the world without your parents fixing everything for you. And you can't fix a pregnancy. Mm-hmm. Can't undo a birth. So like in this situation, it not even being his, I under no circumstances would I have signed that birth certificate. He is now responsible for child support for another man's child, and that dude is completely off the hook.
Yeah.
So that statement kind of negates what I was saying about the whole family aspect. But if he stepped up and was trying to play dad and this chick actually loved him and they were just toxic for each other, this will never end.
Oh, no.
She will always cross boundaries. She will always be the person to like try to say slick shit or make flirty jokes or, hey, does my ass look cute in this dress? Like that shit will never stop because they have a bond. They were young, right? We spent so much time together. It's so convoluted.
If you choose not to be with me, our daughter will never be allowed to be around whoever you're with is disgusting.
She also can't stop that.
Right. Realistically, she can't stop that. The desperate grasp at control over the situation, literally the only thing you have to hold over that man's head is the child.
Right. Well, even without him not being the biological father, because he signed their birth certificate legally, that's his kid.
Yeah.
And he could absolutely go to court and make this a thing. So like, there is an upside to that. Mm-hmm. If he really wants to be the dad to this little girl, there's nothing that woman can do if they go to court. Unless she can prove that he's an unfit parent or like he's selling drugs out of his house or whatever the case may be, he has a right to this child.
Yeah.
that manipulation shit scares men.
Oh, yeah.
It does. And men who don't want to go to court because they've heard the horror stories about how their friend is paying over $1,000 a month in child support, right? I knew a guy 20 years ago that had 3 kids in Florida and 2 kids in New Jersey, and he was paying $3,000 a month in child support. Almost every dime he made had to go to child support. And I remember him telling me as the kids were coming off, like turning 18, he was like, all right, that kid's done. That kid's done. Well, this one's going to college now. And they just reinstated the child support for the next 2 years of college. And I was like, fuck, dude. So like I had that fear. Now I know that you get a fucking lawyer and you let your lawyer deal with that shit instead of trying to fight the court system on your own. Make no mistake, family court systems is an industry, and it is $1 billion a year industry.
Yeah.
Judges, lawyers, they all fucking get paid on this shit. The mediation people, the paralegals, everybody's got a stake in that game.
At first, he checked every inappropriate and disrespectful thing that she would say. He would stand his ground and tell her that she will not play on his phone and disrespect the person he's in a relationship with, but it only made her scream and yell more. Eventually, I told him that I was secure with our relationship. I fully trusted him, and I know he respects and loves me. So I told him to stop trying to defend himself, just ignore it, and don't pay attention to the remarks, and keep his part of the conversation focused on his daughter, which he did and has done for the last 2 years.
That's actually the answer to that.
It is.
Is this about the kid? No, click.
Yep.
I don't have to be on the phone with you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're having a bad day? I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Right? And those conversations should be had. When you guys have ugly breakups like this, don't placate that shit because it's going to just get worse and worse.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how amicable you want to be. If the other person's not trying to be civil and the ugliness is happening, it's not going to stop. And you can be as civil as you want. People are going to continue to attack because there's no repercussions to their actions.
Right. Continuing, these comments and remarks still to this day are regularly said by her. For example, she refers to me as his pet. A lot of women would have walked away from this not wanting the added stress or drama. However, the only thing I could see was this man that dealt with this narcissistic woman fighting tooth and nail to have a relationship with a child that's biologically not his. The only thing I could think is this is the type of man I want a family with.
I wonder why that is. There's a lot to be said about all of this, right? On a psychological level, him still trying to do the right thing and be there for that child because that child does think that he's dad is honorable. We have a friend of ours who has 3 kids and only one of them is his. The other 2 are from a previous relationship of the woman. And now that they're not together, they still think he's the dad. And she still forces him to do things as if he's dad. And he's never once, because the kids are teenagers now, and they're very ugly to him. And he's never once been like, I'm not your fucking father. I don't have to deal with this. Yeah. Right? He still plays that role. This says a lot about the character of the man. So in that aspect, this is the type of man I want to start a family with. You have a good man. Like there's a lot of integrity in somebody like that because he could blow this bitch's world up. And he chooses not to, right? And I use the term bitch in that situation because she's conducted herself as one.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a fair assessment, and that's not me being derogatory towards all women. This is very specific to this email. I don't know, man. I think that I would have liked more of an explanation as to why she feels that way. Yeah. Is it because he's also not willing to have the text conversations where she's being flirty? Is it because he was willing to step back and stop trying to defend her? Like, I could give a whole lot of reasons why I think he's a good man, but this is the type of man I want to start a family with. Well, what are the other reasons? I just want to know more. I'm nosy.
Yeah. After those first 2 months, his ex-wife got into a relationship and the disrespect stopped temporarily. I chose to be the bigger person and treat her with respect, so we were all able to get along, and we went through about 6 months all co-parenting well. We had his daughter for a week at a time, and she had her for a week at a time. There were no custody arrangements in place and everything was peaceful. This ended, though, when her relationship ended about 6 months later. She went off the rails and started drinking heavily and using crack cocaine. Children's services got involved and his daughter was placed with us. His ex threw a fit that we had her and told children's services that he wasn't the little girl's biological father and pushed them to remove her from our home.
This is why you get a fucking court document. This is why you get a custody agreement and you have all of that shit planned out before things get to this point.
Yeah.
You guys need to do that. You need a custody agreement. Whether you do it through lawyers or not, it needs to be a documented agreement that is notarized between two people.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Because at any point this could happen. And him being on the birth certificate doesn't matter if he's the biological father or not. He's on the birth certificate.
Right.
Then if you think I'm wrong, think about all the stories that you've heard of men who have paid child support up until the child is 18, 19 years old and then found out that they weren't the dad. That money doesn't get paid back. Court system's like, get fucked. You were the dad.
Right.
Yeah.
Continuing, long story short, they ended up removing her using his past as the reason. He had previous drug trafficking charges and was a recovering addict. When they placed her with us originally, they had already screened his background and said it was okay along with random drug tests that he passed. When they took her from us solely based on his ex's wants, his mental health went downhill bad.
I believe that.
This was the one and only time that I'd ever seen him cry. He started to derail and was on the verge of a relapse when I pulled him aside and told him, if you want to focus on your sobriety, then we need to discuss leaving this town and getting away from your people, places, and things.
I agree with that too. That's actually very smart.
Yeah.
That's what it took for me.
After a few weeks of discussing this, he decided it would be the best decision for his mental health and his sobriety, and he said he wanted to move to Florida. He never said why, but he also knew that it was always my dream to move to Florida, so of course I agreed, and within a month we picked up and moved from Ohio to Florida. We started over completely. We have no friends or family where we moved, and it was a hard adjustment for the both of us, but we did it and we got through it.
She moved to Florida.
Yep.
Florida.
Once his ex regained custody of his daughter, he reached out to her and she allowed him to call her and talk to her. He ordered her groceries once a month, bought his daughter's school clothes and shoes, and every need that his ex said their daughter needed would be ordered and delivered to their door. This went on for about 6 months. She still was nasty and disrespectful towards me and him both, and even though his child support had been coming out of his check every week, she still swears she didn't receive it, but we ignored it and let it slide to be able to have that relationship with his child.
Pause. That's not how that works. You get a card.
Mm-hmm.
In Florida. I don't know what state. In Ohio, I don't know how it works in Ohio. In Florida, you get a fucking debit card. And everything that you get child support goes onto that debit card. And if you don't pay your child support, they suspend your license and then put a warrant out for your arrest.
Yep.
That's bullshit. This is why lawyers need to be involved. The moment she was like, I'm not getting the money on my child support, I'd have contacted a lawyer. I'm not going to fucking lose my license or go to jail because she's saying she's not getting her money.
Right.
Yeah. I also wouldn't have tolerated any of that.
No.
Any of it. Like the disrespect has to stop. We're not going to be doing this back and forth shit. I'm not doing anything for you if you can't respect my situation.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to like her. You don't have to like me. I don't have to like you. In fact, I don't. I'm doing this solely for the child. And unless you can treat me with civility, I'm not talking to you.
Yep.
And that's just all there is to that. I would change my phone number.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that he's trying to do the right thing because he's the dad who's not the dad. But at some point, you have to protect the family that you have versus the one you lost.
Yeah. Continuing.
Mm.
She allowed us to come see her and keep her for a weekend here and there when we could afford the trip and time off. It was only 2 or 3 times in the 6 months that we lived here. Every time he attempts to set boundaries with her, she tells him, if you can't respect me, you don't have access to my daughter.
Yeah.
They have been having an ongoing discussion about his daughter coming to spend a week with us after Christmas while she was on school break, to the point that she even told their daughter she would let her come. Earlier this week, he asked if we could drive to pick up his daughter the Sunday after Christmas and bring her home the Sunday following that. She lost her mind and flew off the handle and said until he starts helping her provide for their child financially, he will never be allowed to see her, which is crazy because we have been providing everything we can. We live paycheck to paycheck. We live comfortably, but we are not rich by any means, and we don't have a big savings account to save us if something happens. But we still help with everything she asks for. He eventually hit his breaking point with all of it and told her that he is washing his hands of the situation. He has discussed this with me multiple times before, but never had the heart to give up. Each time, I have always told him that it's not a decision that is my place to input on.
Mm.
I told him...
Wait. I love that. I fucking love that. But I disagree.
Mm-hmm.
Because you guys are creating a life together You have been a part of this young girl's life for the last 3 or 4 years. You do have input on this. Any decisions made is going to affect the household.
Right.
I feel so fucking bad for this dude. Like, my heart breaks for this guy. That sucks.
Yeah.
But don't downplay your importance. And I fucking love that you're willing to support his decision one way or the other. That says a lot about being a good pillar of support to your man, because you could be making a lot of ugly in his life and he could be getting it from both sides. She's choosing to be the bigger person and support him. Mm-hmm. And regardless of her feelings, she's doing it from a place of love. This is amazing.
Yeah.
It sucks though.
It does suck. Continuing, I tell him that I will back any decision that he chooses to make. I will understand it either way. I give him my opinion on things when he asks for it, but at the end of the day, it is not my place to tell him to walk away from a child he loves, or tell him he needs to continue suffering in order to play his role as a father to a child that's not biologically his. I emphasize biologically because to him and I both, that will still always be his daughter no matter what. He told his ex he wants absolutely nothing to do with her. He doesn't want her in his life anymore, and that it puts stress on him in his relationship with me. He also told her the on and off bullshit allowing him to talk to his daughter one day and then not allowing him the next, or telling his daughter that she's not allowed to see him anymore, is only confusing his daughter and hurting her.
Absolutely.
This woman doesn't care about her daughter's feelings or needs as a little girl. He explained to her that he's hiring a lawyer to have DNA done, child support dropped, and his name removed from the birth certificate, and he said that when his daughter is older, she will seek him out. He feels that he has exhausted all efforts and it's no longer his responsibility to continue trying.
I agree with that. I do want to touch on the daughter seeking him out. That's something that a lot of people hear. And though it's true, keep in mind that you are going to have to make a relationship with a complete stranger.
Yeah.
That you may not like. At 6 years old, 7 years old, the next 10 years of their life, making them 18, 19 years old, to the point where they come and seek you out, you don't know them.
Right.
And they don't know you. And all that time, love is going to fade. Mm-hmm. You are not going to have a bond with that child the way that you do when they become an adult. And if you don't do the work to create that bond on both ends, you're not going to reclaim that bond.
Yes. Continuing, my feelings aside, I sent this email because he really wants advice. Does this decision make him a bad father? Is he giving up on something that he should continue to fight for? I really would like an unbiased opinion on the issue. We can't go to the family to talk about it because all of them hate her, and I've been telling him for years to walk away from it, and that no matter what he does, it'll never be enough to his ex, and he'll likely be dealing with this until their daughter is 18.
Okay, so before we do anything, let's how do you feel about all this?
He's in a really fucked up situation. And if I were in this position, as a woman, it's damn near impossible for me to just not be parent, right? Like there's not going to be a surprise. Oh, we're having a baby. She's going to give birth and then just disappear. So we're going to be stuck raising this kid. That could be the scenario, but I can't really speak on the male aspect of all of that because I'm not a man. I wouldn't tolerate this though. Knowing that I've gone above and beyond with my own power in the situation, right? Because your control ends at your fingertips. I would go to court, and because my name is on the birth certificate, I want 50-50 custody. And with that 50-50 custody, I'm not paying child support anymore. That would be, I have done everything in my power. Getting the lawyer involved, trying to gain custody, all those kinds of things. If that fell through, then I would go ahead, do the DNA test, prove that I'm not the biological father, and I'm not paying child support anymore. And
that
then,
may not work.
Yeah.
You signed the birth certificate. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So,
I would also make it a point to seek her out when she's an adult. I wouldn't wait for her to make that move because she's still in this dynamic, the child. And I think if a parental figure or an elder in the relationship doesn't make it a point to form the relationship, that's a lot of pressure to put on a young person.
I agree. I think he's a good man.
Yeah.
I think he's done a lot that he didn't have to do. Mm-hmm. And I think that she's made so much drama in his life that at some point, and this is hypothetical, I would imagine that he did get it from both sides.
Yeah.
Because she said that he told her that he's making problems in his new relationship. You could only push a good person so far before they break and become a bad guy. And then when he breaks and becomes the bad guy, then it's going to be, see, I told you all along, this was what was going on, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
My unbiased opinion, not being in this situation, is he needs to get a lawyer, either get 50-50 custody or fucking wipe his hands from this.
Yeah.
He should not have signed the birth certificate. And I know that that does nothing now because that's hindsight shit. But for those of you who are listening, if you find yourself in this situation, do not fucking sign a birth certificate for a child that you know is not yours. You will be responsible for that child for their entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that shit. I believe you should get DNA tests.
Yeah.
Because of things like this and because of all the ugly I've seen, regardless of the relationship, when children are coming into the world, I believe DNA test needs to be done. I don't care if that makes me a bad guy. I don't care if people disagree with it. Because of what we do for a living.
Oh, yeah.
Any of my friends ever said my girl's pregnant, I'm like, DNA test.
Mm-hmm.
But I love her. I don't give a fuck if you love her or not. I don't care if she claims to be the daughter of Jesus.
Yeah.
You get a fucking DNA test. Because even if you don't, all it will take is that one person to be like, yo, I heard she slept around with you while she was pregnant or before she got pregnant.
Yeah.
And now you have that, I don't know, what if, right? And that shit will haunt you.
Yes.
My unbiased opinion in this is that you've got a good man who's being fucking treated poorly and he's finally getting to the point where he's not going to take it anymore and he's doing what needs to happen.
Yep.
I don't think he's going to be able to get the name taken off the birth certificate. And he may not even be able to get the child support canceled. But I do think he needs to get a DNA test, which, because he knows the kid's not his. That was very clear. I think it's crazy that she says their daughter whenever she fucking needs something, but it's my daughter otherwise.
When she's mad.
Yeah, I would have done that as soon as she took him for child support.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, hindsight 2020 again.
Right.
I think this is the last paragraph.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your opinions would be very much appreciated in this situation because he and I are both confused, lost, and hurting. The little girl has become a part of our everyday life, a part of our family, and my daughter even refers to his daughter as her sister. The girls are super close and love each other, and it really pisses me off that this 40-something-year-old woman does not care about the trauma she is putting not just her own daughter through, but also my daughter as well by the wishy-washy, spiteful behavior. I don't know what to do other than just supporting his decision no matter what it is, but he also is not sure on what his next step should be. Does he follow through with what he said and choose his own peace, or does he keep fighting to be a part of his daughter's life?
It's not his daughter.
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately the main thing there. And even if he was the daughter, at some point, you either need to get custody of the kid or become distant.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't live your entire life being tortured by somebody that's able to dangle shit over your head. Custody agreements need to happen. Court agreements need to happen. You need to get a fucking lawyer.
Yes.
All that extra money that he's sending, like all of it,
Yeah.
doesn't fucking matter to the court system. They don't care. Unless it's like done properly as a gift through the child support system, that money doesn't exist. It's a gift. It's not a payment.
Right.
It doesn't matter. All the money that you've spent or that he has spent could have gone to a lawyer. And you can find lawyers who will work a case for a flat fee that will do the entire thing for a flat rate. It may not be a lot, or it may not be easy to pay. You may have to max out a credit card or take out a fucking mortgage on your home, whatever, to make that happen, or sell a car, whatever. But that needs to happen. I think the answer to this is that he does need to follow through with his decision. I also think that having that girl coming back and forth in the house and the mom doing what the mom is doing is going to fuck up your daughter. And at that point, how can you say that you are in a relationship with a man that you don't have an opinion in? At what point do you have to go, wait a minute, this is now traumatizing my child.
Right.
And if you want me to be here, we need to have a real discussion of what this looks like going forward, because there's a second innocent bystander in this who's being fucked up.
Yeah.
Right? There's a whole lot of that discussion that needs to happen too. I don't know. I don't like the situation. I think it absolutely fucking sucks that that's what they're going through.
I agree.
You have anything else that you want to add on that while I move the email?
No, I do not.
That's rough, man.
It is really rough.
I think it's going to be the last one for this episode. It
Okay.
puts us a little over an hour in. I did not look at the chats at all through any of that, because as we were reading the email, I was seeing comments and it was distracting the shit out of my brain.
Yeah.
So so for all of you who are chatting and like conversing with us, just know that I had the email pulled up over top of the screen so that we couldn't see any of it. So if you guys had really good points, I apologize, but we're in it. We're in the zone, auto zone.
Trying to focus.
So focus. Focus needs more focus. You're focused.
Hey guys, little quick interruption. If you're enjoying the content, please leave a like. And also don't forget to comment. We enjoy interacting with you guys and hearing your opinions, and it helps the algorithm.
It's also free to do, and if you really want to help make sure the show continues to do, hit the subscribe button and share the content across your social medias. It costs you nothing, and it greatly helps the show. So with that being said, guys, thank you for tuning into the episode. We hope you found it informative. Remember, you are the author of your own life.
So grab a pen.
And we will see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.